Hi everyone, I am about to speak with author Margaret George, and we are talking about her newest book. Look at it. It is absolutely beautiful. I love this book so much, and it's the end of her NERO story. And I love her. Talked to her so many times, and I will never stop talking to her because she is like my favorite historian. So thank you, Margaret. I cannot wait to talk to you. So everybody, here is Margaret. Hi everyone, I am so excited today because I get to speak with Margaret George again, and I love talking to Margaret, and she has a brand new book, just came out last week, I think, and here it is, her like the next book of Nero called The Splendor Before the Dark. Look at this cover.
Yes.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh, Margaret, this is like one of my favorite covers because I hope you can see it, but these
Oh, yes.
letters, they like shimmer and it's beautiful. So anyway, hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's been a frantic, it'll be a week tomorrow since it came out. So it's been a frantic, exciting last few days.
Yes. And of course, like we love talking about Nero. So, I
Yes.
mean, we might as well finish up Nero, right? I mean,
Right.
and I wanted to ask you because I know how sad you were when you finished up Cleopatra. Like, were you as
Yes.
sad when you finished Nero?
Very sad
Oh,
because, he comes to such a sad end and he was so young.
I
You
had
think,
no idea. I had no idea. Like, even for when we talked about the other one, like, I guess I just only did my research then. And then today I was finishing it up and I'm like, oh, he was only 30. I mean, we're not doing spoilers here because everybody knows, everybody
uh,
can knows the history. But I mean, he was so young that, it's hard to believe. It's really hard to believe what he had done in his lifetime having died at 30, you know?
yeah, such a sad thing on his tombstone. They always have how many days and how many months, and they'll say, you know, 30 years, 9 months, 25 days, and you think of it as it's just so sad. It wasn't very long at all.
It really wasn't. And I know you have such a heart for Nero. And
The
I know you do. And
only one who does.
but it really comes across in this book too. And, I'm going to why don't you catch everybody up from where we ended the last time and where this book begins?
Okay, well, the last book ended with Nero just finding out about the Great Fire of Rome.
Yes.
And the Great Fire of Rome started at the middle of the night in July. And so that was a great event. I mean, it was a huge event in ancient history because it was the biggest urban fire they ever had in any city up until actually World War II with the bombing of cities in Germany. My editor thought, because we're going to tell the whole story, but she said that was a good place to break it. And so the last chapter of the first book is the first chapter of the last book. It sort of repeats, just sort of like, how last time on Masterpiece Theater. you know.
Yes.
And so it begins with him finding out about it again, although he just did find out about it in the last book.
Right.
But it takes him to the Great Fire of Rome, where he spends a lot of time. Actually, he did fight the fire. I didn't make that up. That's in the history books that he wasn't even in Rome when the fire started, and he came to Rome as soon as it took him a couple of days because he was down in one of his other villas, and so when he got up there, the fire was in full swing, and he did join the efforts. But more than that, after the fire finally stopped burning, which was 9 days, it destroyed about 70% of Rome. He threw himself into all these relief efforts. And opened the palace grounds and spent a lot of money bringing grain down. And so he was very very courageous and very heroic during that time. So you have that episode, and then he had to make plans of how to rebuild Rome. And so since 70% of it was destroyed, kind of had a clean slate. And he had all these grandiose ideas about he was going to make Rome the most splendid city. It was going to rise anew even better. Well, all that costs a lot of money. And it was the first urban green space he thought of, let's have some parks and open space. And of course, that was very odd to people then. They thought it was just a waste of good land. And so his plans generated a lot of opposition, as any building plans do. And from there, it kind of went the business about thinking that he had started the fire. It started those rumors about he'd started the fire, saying, well, he must have started it so he had this excuse to rebuild it, which was not true, of course. But conspiracy theories are not new. I mean, they didn't start with a grassy knoll, and I think they were quite rife at the time. And even though we've got all these fact checkers and things like that, we still can't stop conspiracy theories and all these weird theories we have in our culture now.
Right.
So it's no wonder that they never really erased the fiddling while Rome burned, because since he played the cithara, not a fiddle, but the idea was that he used the fire as a backdrop to perform, because that just seemed fitting. So we never have really gotten rid of that. And if you Google Nero or Great Fire of Rome and look and go to images, you'll see all these cartoons of him. And then modern people, put in togas fiddling, whatever politician they want to attack, they put him in the robes and have him fiddling away with the Colosseum in the background. So he never got rid of that.
Nope.
And but it's also a love story, because he very much loved, well, there were two women he really loved. His faithful ex-girlfriend, the one that he wanted to marry when he was a teenager, who was a former slave, and who really was his faithful love, I guess, all of his life, and she was the one who buried him in the end. And then his beautiful wife, Poppaea, who was very, very clever, kind of his other half, and like his other politician, self. And she died. And he did not kill her, as the rumors also went, that he stomped on her. I think perhaps, modern historians say she probably just died of a miscarriage, because we know that she was sick. One of the other historians, of the ancient ones, says that she was sick. But again, it got pinned on him as that he was this cruel guy who and the story was even more ludicrous, because he said she came home late from the races, and he got angry, and she scolded him, and he kicked her to death. Well, there's not even any record of him. He's not a physical kind of person. It's true that he would strike back when people tried to assassinate him, and he'd have them tried and executed, but he didn't ever. There's no record of him ever hitting anybody or anything, so it's really out of character. But anyway, after he lost Poppaea, and there was a great conspiracy against him because of the Great Fire of Rome and his extravagance. He really kind of decided he was going to just give all to art, I think. I think it was a real escape for him.
Yeah.
He almost washed his hands of the emperorship and of Rome itself, and he went off to Greece for this 16-month artistic and athletic tour of all of the Greek games. And they kept telling him to come back, there's trouble in Rome. And it was kind of like he just didn't want to go back there. So when he finally had to come back, his fall from power was very quick, and you almost feel that he just kind of shrugged and said, he wanted out. I mean, what did that make him suicidal? I don't know, but clearly he didn't seem to want to go on as Emperor of Rome. And of course, there was no honorable retirement.
No.
There's only one way out. Well, he did have these fantasies that he could go away and be a musician and live in Egypt. And you kind of wonder, was he off his rocker at that point? Did he really think that he could get away and take another name and disappear in Egypt? And maybe he could have, but not likely. Anyway, he never got a chance to, because the people found where he was hiding, waiting to go, and then he had no choice. It was either they would take him away, or he could just do away with himself. So it's very sad. And then his old love came and buried him.
Yeah, and you know what I was thinking as I'm reading this book? Like, if you would put Nero in today's world, right?
Mm-hmm.
People would have a lot of compassion, because as a child, I mean, let's just face it, the guy did not cut a break, okay? Like, he would have been looked at like somebody like, we would have been like, oh my gosh, he had this horrible childhood, and he didn't ask for this so much as was forced into this. And I don't know, it's like, like you said, like we have a hard time with gossip and rumors now. right? Like,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what gossip and rumors were back then is like so difficult. But I feel like you did such a good job to get us to see kind of the whole picture of him. I've never known so much about Nero, let me tell you. Okay. And so I have a lot of compassion for him too, because I've read your books, and to me it was like this artsy kind of guy, and he did go back to Rome. He went back to Rome, and then he let the homeless live in his grounds.
Yeah, he did. He did. I think today we're so lenient with people that have a hard life. I mean, we tend to want to understand them and give them a break, but boy, we aren't with historical characters. It's kind of like it starts in 1950, and anybody before that, it's like we're very hard on them. But yeah, by today's standards, it's a wonder he was as normal as he was, really.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking about like Henry VIII, because we've read Henry together, and when he was, between wife and mistress and all that, it was kind of like Henry was, I don't know, I felt like they were kind of one and the same, like they were still going through the dilemmas of wives and mistresses, and
There's a lot of parallels between modern people and the ancients. They're not that foreign from us.
Right, exactly.
Their society is, but not the people. And I feel like that, as I said to you before, poor Nero, he really just wanted to be an artist. So he was like somebody now who wants to be they want to be a musician. They want to be a filmmaker. They want to be a writer, but their parents say, I'm not paying for that. I'm not going to support you. You're going to go to law school. And, and how many people are there like that? I mean, I've met a lot of writers who said, well, I became a lawyer, but I didn't really like that. I mean, Sharon K. Penman was a lawyer, and a person I just met recently was also a lawyer. And, it's kind of like the thing that you tell your children to do so they can support themselves, whether they really have an affinity for the law or not.
Right.
And finally, sometimes these people just say, I don't want to go on doing this. I do want to be an artist. And if they're lucky, they can make the change.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to read everybody the first sentence, because I love your writing so much. It is so beautiful. And I just wanted to show everybody how beautiful it is. And this is how we start the book off. I awoke in the milky dawn, that I'm like, can't say the word, opalescent hour, outside of time. For an instant, I did not know where I was. Thus, it must feel to be newborn, unclaimed. I was like, oh, it's so poetic. It's so, and that's how this whole book is. It's so poetic and so beautifully written. It's like you take time with every word and every sentence, and I don't know. It's like it's history, but then it's like this beautiful like poetry into history.
Yeah.
And
he was very poetic, and he's supposed to be talking to you in the first person. He probably thought that way,
Yes.
I would think, but thank you, because I think a lot of novels now, because of the length, restriction on them, I think they tend to want to cut out everything but just the really bare bones sometimes of a sentence. And it's nice to have a little bit of, nuance and roundedness to it, I think.
Yes. Yeah, it's so beautiful. And, I'm just going to show everybody, this is not a thin book.
No.
But it is an easy read. Like, a lot of times when you see a book like this and you're like, oh, no, I can't, there's no way. But I don't want people to think that there's no way, because it reads so beautifully. Before you know it, like when I was reading it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm already on page 300. Like I thought I just started it. And that's what I love about your writing, is that it isn't like tedious. It's like, you want them to go, you want it to go on, and I want you to keep telling me more. And, so, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, look at that.
Yeah. That painting is a historic painting, of course. I mean, like from it's recent, but it's probably the best painting we have of the Great Fire of Rome. And we don't know whether the person standing on the top is Nero or not, or it's just a person. There's somebody standing up on that. Yeah, is it him? Is it meant to be him? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
is that him? He's not playing a fiddle.
No, he's not. It just has his arm up. But I mean,
it's his arm up.
Yeah. It's just absolutely beautiful. So what I have to say, so this is like a week old now, and I know you, so I know you haven't stopped writing. So I want to know what you're writing now.
Well, I'm not writing right now. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of, I'd like to do something about America for a change, believe it or not. I would like to do something else about ancient Rome, but I kind of need a break from it, I think.
Okay.
I need a mourning period. I can't just go back there when he just died. But, I think early America now not the Revolutionary War,
okay,
but the transition between when you began to develop, it's around the War of 1812, I think, when you already had these Kentucky sharpshooters. And you had this, Tennessee and Kentucky were frontier then. And they were very different from the eastern seaboard. And that's when we began to develop what I think of as the real American persona, different from the guys in the knee breeches that were basically kind of British. But
yeah.
How did you get from Benjamin Franklin to Davy Crockett? This is kind of like,
right.
It's just kind of amazing how we did develop our own distinct culture so fast. It's only, War of 1812 is not that far from the Revolutionary War. Really? It's 40 years? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think you should.
So, I just have to find the right character, though.
Yeah.
Other than a period, but it won't be Davy Crockett.
Well, you don't have a hard time finding a character. I know.
I do think, it's just interesting to think of Nashville being this little place made of log cabins, and that you could become, attorney general there without even a law degree. It was just the frontier.
Right.
And we always think of, way further out west, but that was the beginning of our frontier. And that whole persona, with the buckskins and the bangs and the coonskin hats and all this. I don't know. I just find it interesting that we developed that. And different from Canada.
Yeah.
Canada didn't have a thing like that.
Exactly. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you come up with.
Well, thank you.
I can't wait. I always love, I'm a homeschooling mom. And so I always start with right before the revolution and then go forward. That's how I've always taught. And, I'll tell you who my favorite woman character is from that time period is Abigail Adams.
Oh, really? Really?
I have like a heart for her because I know how hard, I don't know, not that Martha Washington didn't. The little bit that I've read about Abigail, I was like, I just wonder what it would have been like to be her because it was not easy. He wasn't ever around, and she had to run the farm and she had to raise the kids, and I don't know. So I look at her as like the the first single mom, but not single, but a strong woman, really strong woman. So. Anyway, that's always I always go towards her if I'm starting all over again. I start with her and kind of move forward from there.
Well, she's a lot of people's favorites. I remember my mother liked her a lot.
Oh,
and of
really?
course, I saw, that miniseries they had, which was very good. Yeah. She had a big role in that.
Yeah, I felt like we didn't learn about her in school. I guess that's why. When I started reading the books on him and, from that time period, I was like, it's just interesting because I didn't know anything about her until I started teaching my kids and then did more reading on her, kind of, delved into her. It's like you don't hear about Martha, you don't hear about Abigail, until they're brought to light.
For women, and now you do, of course. There's books out about Hamilton's wife, and there was a book out about Benedict Arnold's wife.
Yes. Yeah, now we hear about them a little bit more. But back in the day, I didn't hear anything about them. But anyway.
What about Aaron Burr's wife? Did he have one? That would be interesting.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if he did. Yeah, he did. He did
have a wife, I think.
Yeah, he did have a wife. That would be interesting. I love talking to you, and I just want everybody to go get this. I'm going to put the Amazon link listed underneath here. And,
okay, thank you.
And you know what? Margaret, doesn't mean just because you're not writing right now. We still have books to talk about,
We do. We've got several you and I haven't discussed. So.
I know, and I really want to get. What was the one I was looking? Because I was going through your books today, and I was like, we haven't done was it Catherine? No. I don't know, but there are women. There are women we haven't done.
We didn't do Mary Queen of Scots.
Mary Queen of Scots. And
we didn't do Elizabeth, and we didn't do Helen of Troy and Mary Magdalene. Did we ever do Mary Magdalene? No? Oh.
There we go. We got it. We got
Oh.
to start doing these women. I mean, we did Cleopatra, so we got to start doing some of these other women.
It's true, though. We've talked about the 2 men and the 1 woman, so
Yeah.
now the rest were women.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll talk about it. So, everybody, thank you so much, Margaret.
Thank
Go get
you.
her book. I mean, it is out now, and I'm so excited. I kept looking all over social media. I was so excited for you. And I see people talking about it, and it makes me so happy.
Oh, that's great.
And I want you to have a great day, and we will talk again, and then you can tell me, you know, more ideas that you have about your next book.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Always good to visit with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm talking to her so much. I love her. We are going to talk more. She has so many other books, but this is the current one, and I will be having the links below. I will be having the links below. I'm having a hard time talking today. I don't know. It's weird. But it's only 4 o'clock, but look, it looks dark. It feels dark, feels late. It's weird. Thank you, Margaret. I love you, and you're so smart. And you're such a beautiful writer, and I can't wait to see what this book does. So everybody, please hit like if you liked my conversation with Margaret. I put videos up every day, so please subscribe.